welcome to Audubon Network News.
Made for kids by kids.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Zion.
Today's hot story is climate change. We're going to take a look at a new report by the National Audubon Society.
The report says climate is the largest threat facing North American birds.
We will also interview local leaders and scientists to ask them about global warming and what we can do to help.
But first, let's take a look at this video from the EPA about climate change.
Climate change has been in the news for years. But what is it, and how will it affect us? To understand climate change, you first need to know about the greenhouse effect. The Earth gets heat from the sun. In the atmosphere, greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide trap this heat and keep it from escaping back to outer space. Trapping some heat in the atmosphere is a good thing because it keeps the planet warm enough for us to live. But there's a problem. People all over the world are adding extra carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. That's because today we burn fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas to do many of our everyday activities, like driving our cars, using our computers, and heating our homes. All of this extra carbon dioxide is trapping more heat in the atmosphere, making the Earth warmer and causing other climate changes too. The signs of climate change are all around us. Temperatures are getting warmer, giant ice sheets are melting, and the oceans are rising. In many places, flowers are blooming earlier, snow is melting sooner, and birds aren't flying as far south for the winter. So why does this matter? Well, if the planet keeps getting warmer, we can expect more powerful storms and more flooding, droughts, and heat waves. And these changes could cause additional problems, like the spread of certain diseases, more wildfires, and food and water shortages. Climate change could put entire ecosystems, like coral reefs, in danger, and many plants and animals could become extinct.
Now that we know about climate change, let's go to the field.
The new report by Audubon highlights the effects of climate change on birds. We have a reporter on location at the Little Rock Audubon Center to talk to Dr. Dan the Birdman.
Thanks, Sophie. Destiny here, reporting from the Audubon Center. Before we get to Dr. Dan, let's watch a short video of the Audubon studies.
Scientists from the National Audubon Society have analyzed the observations of thousands of bird watchers and information from leading climate scientists. And they've reached a clear conclusion. Birds are on the move in response to global warming. Gary Langham, chief scientist at Audubon, says the message is stark and clear.
It's an urgent message. Nearly half of the bird species in the United States and Canada are seriously threatened by climate change. And if nothing is done to abate this threat, many of the bird species we love could disappear forever.
Every bird species is uniquely adapted to its surroundings, including temperature, precipitation, and changing seasons. But when rising greenhouse gases change the climate, the conditions on which birds depend are thrown into disarray. Birds will find themselves displaced from their homes. Many of the birds that will be threatened include some of our most familiar and beloved species: the bald eagle, the brown pelican, the burrowing owl, the common loon, the Baltimore oriole, and the Allen's hummingbird. The survival of these birds is in question.
That was a lot of good information. Dr. Dan, what do you think is going to happen to the birds when our climate changes?
Well, Audubon projects that nearly half of the U.S. and Canada's birds, about 314 species, are threatened by climate change, and many of those could disappear forever if we don't change the rate of global warming. Of the 314 species that are threatened by climate change, 152 occur in Arkansas. And these include some of our most loved birds, like the mallard, which is the duck that so many people love to hunt. Audubon predicts that the current breeding range of the mallard in the northern US and Canada could shrink by as much as 75% by 2080. Now, I know that duck hunting takes place in Arkansas in the winter, so who cares what happens in the summertime in the breeding grounds? But think about this. If there are fewer places for mallards to nest, then there'll be fewer ducklings produced. If there are fewer ducklings produced, then there'll be fewer adult ducks coming back to Arkansas each winter for hunters and bird watchers to enjoy.
Knowing that climate change is a huge threat, we wanted to talk to some folks about what we can do to help. First up is Little Rock Mayor Mark Stodela.
If you would go and tell all of your friends to tell their parents to go change all of their little light bulbs, the incandescent light bulbs, into a CFL light bulb like this, it will last 10 times longer than a regular light bulb. And did you know that if every American household changed out just one bulb in their house, that it would save 5 gigawatts of power, which is enough to power 5 nuclear power plants.
Thank you, Mayor. Now back to the studio.
Earlier today, we caught up with Senator Joyce Elliott.
She was speaking with students on how to talk climate with government leaders.
Legislators really like to hear from people called constituents. That's a big word, but what it means are the people that we represent. So what you can do to make sure we know what you feel, you may write letters, you may send text messages sometimes if you have those phone numbers, but it's okay to come up and visit us and talk to us at the Capitol. And sometimes if you get an opportunity, you can ask legislators to come to your school and talk to your schools. That's a really good way for kids to let legislators know they understand what's happening with climate change and they have something to say about it. And you really should let us know.
Thanks, Senator Elliott.
You're welcome, Grace. It was my pleasure.
Now back to the newsroom.
Now, expert Melinda Glasgow will tell us about more that we can do.
Hi, Xavier. My name is Melinda Glasgow, and I'm the Recycling and Sustainability Officer for the City of Little Rock. I'm a huge advocate for making small changes in your home. There are a lot of simple things you can do that will help reduce greenhouse gas output and also save money. Adding faucet aerators, using a smart power strip, recycle more, unplug unused devices, and use compact fluorescent or LED light bulbs.
Thanks, Melinda. Now back to you guys in the newsroom.
Let's go back to Dr. Dan, the Birdman.
There are 3 things you can do to help birds. The first thing is to plant native plants. Native plants are the foundation for healthy bird habitat. Native plants provide the seed and the fruits that birds need to eat, but also harbor the insects that birds need to eat and be healthy. The second thing to do is to prevent birds from hitting your windows. So you can do things like hang string from the windows or put special decals in the windows so birds know there's glass there and they won't hit it and hurt themselves. The third thing you can do is to keep your bird feeders and your bird baths clean. Mold, mildew, bacteria, they're not good for people. They're not good for birds either. So by keeping your bird feeders and bird baths clean, you keep birds healthy. And healthy birds now mean healthy birds in the future, which means that birds will be better able to face the challenges of a warming world.
We've learned so much about birds and climate change today. We're encouraging our viewers to take a climate pledge.
Thinking about installing new lights or planting native plants?
We're taking another action to help out our climate and our birds.
Write it down on a pledge card.
It's a great reminder for you and something to share with your friends.
Remember, you can find more information at your Audubon Center.
That's all for Audubon Network News.
News from Bird's Eye View.
I'm Sophie.
And I'm Zion.
Goodbye.